Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to our little corner of the internet where we talk about fountain pens, inks, journals and journaling and just about anything and everything that's going to keep you inspired. Welcome. And a special welcome to all the members of this channel and all the regular viewers. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to see you, to spend some wonderful time together each Tuesday night. I see quite a few people in the chat, chatting away, you guys. Look at you in this chat, just chatting for the last 10 minutes or so. I'm not sure at what point the chat goes live, but it definitely is encouraging to see everyone in there, on there, and everything else. So, very, very good. Let me just do one quick thing here. Okay, pardon me one second. Just fixing one of my settings so that I can pay even closer attention to you all. Okay, very good. So we have a very exciting show for you tonight, and I am not going to take a half hour to get to the main topic. But I kind of have two main topics. I have a really interesting comment that someone made today that I thought was worthy of a bit of commentary. And I like to keep this very interesting and very fresh and very much focused on fountain pens. And I also want to get to the main topic, which is the curse of cursive writing. And I think it's a good thing to keep everything in balance that we speak about around here. Fountain pens, inks, journals, journaling. And a big part of writing in this fountain pen community of ours is cursive. Using cursive. But there's a lot involved. And in a way, it's a gift and a curse if you know cursive. So I think it's a lot of fun. We can have a really fun discussion on that. I invite all your comments in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, I do keep these replays up. The conversation continues in the comment section. So please don't hold back. And people now tell me, do you use cursive? I'd love to hear from all of you in the chat and in the comments, whether or not you're cursed with cursive. And we will get to what I mean by that. A few things. I always like to show you which pen I'm using, so let's get to that, and then we're going to get on to a bunch of other stuff. So, I have been extremely inspired by one pen in particular. Does anybody guess which one's in here? I bet you guys know. Maybe you don't. Yes. By the way, thumb always goes here to protect pens from the zipper. This is the Waterman Edson. Now, very easy to get scratches out of here. Very easy to get scratches off of here. Not very easy to get scratches off of there. So this sort of brushed. Should this get scratched heavily? Not so easy for me to get scratches out. On the super polished, super easy. I could also turn this into super polished. That would be easy, but I don't want to spoil the look of the pen. If I do scratch it there, I'm going to bear it. I'm just going to bear with it. But this is a pen that I have been using quite a bit. I am so inspired by it. I love how the sapphire barrel just glows. It has such a corporate look to it, but not, I would call it creative corporate, because I think corporate sometimes sounds like a pejorative, but I don't mean it that way. I work in a bank in my regular life, and to me, it's a wonderful, oops, sorry, I hit the camera, a wonderful career, a wonderful job, and to me, corporate does not have a negative tone, but maybe to some folks it would. So I want to make that very clear. Let's call it creative. And by the way, I'm writing at a very weird angle here. I am writing kind of sideways upside down. No, I mean, not quite upside down. I'm going sideways, but I'm over here. I'm like this way. Okay. So this is one of the absolute smoothest nibs you're ever to encounter. And I don't often recommend that you buy a fountain pen. But I will say, in the immortal words of Ferris Bueller, I do recommend it if you have the means. Edsons are not inexpensive pens, but they can do things that few fountain pens can do, and they do it gloriously. It is magnificent in its smoothness. Has a nice scribing noise too. And if you look at how regular the flow is of this pen, in a way, you almost want it, it's almost too perfect. You almost want it to mess up. You almost want a little bit of fall off, a little bit of personality. But boy, if you want pure perfection, this is your fountain pen. Very nice. I messed that O up in a big way. There we go. We're going with that, and we're happy with it. So I adore this fountain pen. Look at this. Look at the energy this fountain has. It is very aggressive, very, very beautiful. I think this pen, it's definitely worth, I would spend $1,000 on this fountain pen and not regret it. I think this pen is that amazing. I will also say that this is one of the rare fountain pens that could be the last pen standing. This could be the fountain pen that wins the prize. If there can be only one, this could be the one. This is the Connor McLeod of fountain pens. It's that good. I love everything about it. The coloration, the feel, the writing experience. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant, guys. Let me see what's going on in the comments. Oh, Marcus Souza. My friend Marcus. Thank you so much. $20 super chat. Hi, everyone. Tim, do you plan to make a video about celluloid pens? To be perfectly honest, I wasn't planning on it, but it doesn't mean I won't. I have a few. I never thought to do a video exclusively on that, but perhaps I shall, my friend. Remind me, and maybe that's something I could do. I did do a few things on pen materials, so perhaps I could get even more specific. With me, it's a narrative. It's a narrative thrust that keeps me going generally. So if I can think of a story there, I would certainly dive in and engage with it. So I would definitely consider that. By the way, if you are looking for a Waterman Edson, keep your eye on places like Peyton Street Pens and wherever vintage pens are sold. Peyton Street had one not too long ago. It was a ruby red one. It would have been great with oxblood. I almost bought it myself, but I actually put it on my Instagram in the stories so that someone else would buy it, so I would not feel compelled to buy it and somebody else did, which I was very pleased. This one in this condition, quite fine condition, I think you're in it for at least $700-800, but worth it. Worth it. True grail. It's getting rarer all the time. It's interesting. I don't think you would ever tire of it, as long as you like inlaid nibs. I'm also kind of going back and forth as to whether or not I'm going to take it to Italy with me. I leave in 2 weeks. Terrifying. Travel's such a hassle. I don't even know if I'm excited for it. But let me just say, and by the way, Marcus, thank you so much for that $20 super chat. I appreciate it. Using my Quattro. This is coming to Italy with me. I know, I'm pretty sure I'm bringing this pen. Probably going to bring the Montblanc 147 Traveler in Burgundy. And I'm going to bring the Kaweco Terrazzo because I need to film it on actual Venetian terrazzo. And then I have one space open. Still not 100% sure which. Might be a Safari. Safaris are great for trips. I might leave it open in case I buy something. Wouldn't that be grand? It's certainly possible. I'm trying not to buy anything. I'm trying to keep it down, but it's possible. I have a very important announcement to you this week. Very important announcement. This Thursday at noon, a very interesting video. I put it up on Instagram, a little teaser. I say, by the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. This fountain pen on Thursday, I think you guys are really going to enjoy this, especially considering the time of year. It's the most goth and gothic fountain pen I could find. So I thought in the spirit of Halloween, I put it right up. I edited it over the weekend, and I put it up to make sure there's no mistakes in it. It's as perfect a video as I have ever edited for this channel. I am absolutely delighted with it. It covers themes of birth, life, and death, of cherishing your time while you have it, of beautiful places, of family, and an absolutely amazing gothic, stunningly beautiful gothic and interesting fountain pen that I didn't know existed until fairly recently, and I am over the moon with it. And I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You got to wait until Thursday. So I hope you enjoy the video, the music, the editing. There's some movie clips in there. I think you're very much going to enjoy it. If you like my dark academic stuff, this fountain pen is going on a future fountain pens of dark academia because it is perfect. It's exquisite for that. Let me take a minute to recognize David Parsons. Hello, my friend. $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. My school, we teachers use cursive to chat. Kids can't read it. Thanks for the recent repair advice. No problem, my friend. They said parts in 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see. I hope so, my friend. I was feeling bad for you there, but sometimes you do have to wait and you have to trust people. I think, if you don't mind me saying, David sent a pen off to be repaired and it's just taking them forever to get parts, but it's a reputable, good, solid place. And he was feeling a little bit like maybe something was wrong. And I said, well, just check with them. That's how you can tell. If your gut tells you something, it usually means something. So very, very good thing to call. And he did. And it seems everything's fine, which makes me happy. Hi, Allie J. Allie J loves all things dark academia. Me too. Me too. And I wish I could show you this pen, but it's coming. It's coming on Thursday. So I'm very, very excited. There's a lot of really exciting stuff coming up. By the way, I also have a video ready for you when I'm in Italy. I think I'm away one Tuesday night, and I pre-recorded something, which I hope you guys find interesting. It's a little bit off the topic, but we're going to put it up as a premiere so you can all chat. I have a house sitter coming who's going to stay, watch the cat, but they wouldn't do my Tuesday night live show. It's a shame. I thought it would be nice to have a guest host, but what can you do? What can you do? Okay, so I have a few things, and then we're going to get to the main topic because I don't want to keep you all waiting too long. I'm sensitive to these things. Lady Manx. I wonder how many of us like dark academia. By requisite, it means lots and lots of bookcases. Yes, and we are covered. I kind of wish I got the darker ones, but actually, it's nice to have a little light. Maybe I'm a little more light academic, but very nice. I do still want to get something to cover the seams, so I'm going to work on that. And I have 3 more bookcases going on the opposite wall. You guys can't see, but it's behind the camera. So the book collection will then extend into other rooms after this, which I'm very excited about. But I think dark academia is something that really resonates on this channel, so you're going to see more. The dark academic notebooks and journal videos seems to have done quite well. Seems like you guys enjoyed that. So I will be looking to replicate that and things like it very, very soon. So I think you will like it. Robin Pennell asks, will they watch Ghost Cat? They may have to. I don't know if I should mention that to them because I don't want them to cancel. So we'll see if they experience Ghost Cat on their own. So This Thursday, guys, noon. Jump on this video. I think you'll really like it. I am so excited. And it's one of those rare occasions where it's very, very fresh. Because a lot of my videos are being posted 2 months before. So, like Dark Academic Notebooks, I did that back in August. And now it's airing. Which is exciting for me, but sometimes people ask very specific questions and I forget. Like, what ink were you using at 1 minute 38? And then I look and I'm like, oh no, I think it's Jair Bond, but I can't remember. I can't remember now. It was 2 months ago. So with this video that's going up on Thursday, I shot it over the weekend. All the B-roll, I recorded the A-roll, all that over the weekend. And I put it right up because it needs some time to breathe before Halloween. I just feel like it's very much of the season. I think you'll like it. I keep going on and on about my video. I am just very excited about this one. I really like it. I'm a very bad judge of what you guys like, though, to be honest. I think some things are like great and you're going to like it. Or I think something's kind of not my best and then you guys end up loving it. So I really don't know. But I think you'll love it because it's certainly the best editing I've ever done. I can promise that. Okay. Let me get a drink, and then I'm going to cover that comment, and then I'm going to get into the main topic. Thanks for all the likes, guys. I see the thumbs flying up. I appreciate that. Thank you. Ah, so good. I'm drinking water. I've stopped with sugary snacks and sugar drinks. And you can't tell, but maybe you can tell in Thursday's video because you get to see all of me. I was weighing in, I'm 6'2". I was weighing in midsummer at 222. I now weigh 205. Not too bad, huh? And that's just cutting out these sugary drinks, trying to eat a little better. So maybe you'll notice. Who knows? Who knows? One last thing before I get to this comment, which I think is really interesting, and I think you're going to enjoy this quick discussion before we get to the main topic, is that I've added Florence to my trip. So Rome right now is under extensive construction. So, excuse me. I had quite a bit of our trip in Rome, and since so many of the main monuments are under construction, I thought maybe it didn't make so much sense to spend that much time in Rome right now. We'll just go back in a few years. It'll be all done. And I'm trying to maximize this trip for my daughter. So what I did instead was I added Florence. And we're going to be in Florence instead for a bunch of nights. And I booked us a really nice hotel, so we could be really quite comfortable and really dig in. Got us tickets to Uffizi, to Accademia. Should be fantastic. I think my daughter will adore Florence. So we still have a couple days in Rome, and then a bunch of days in Florence, days in Venice, back to Rome, and then we leave. So it should be really exciting. So Bella Firenze is on our itinerary now, which I'm super excited about. And why am I excited about Firenze? Is it because Visconti is headquartered there? No, but it will be neat to see Visconti there, if I do indeed see them. It's because Firenze is such a paper capital. Such great stationery and paper and notebooks and journals. I am going to go mad there. And I cannot wait. So that is so huge. Oh, Alexandra's here from Alexandra's Art Insanity. Hello, Alexandra. I'm excited to hear about your trip and what you end up seeing. Me too. So it should be interesting. I am bringing some of my kit, my phone, of course, and those mics that I used at the Commonwealth Pen Show. So I'm going to do some kind of B-roll or A-roll or something, but I do have to be very mindful that I could fill up my phone really easily and there's no Wi-Fi to count on to empty it. So I'm going to have to be judicious with it. But we're going to have a blast in Florence, Venice, and Italy. So now my daughter sees the big three. Super exciting. Or the big three, if you'd prefer. Okay, let's get to this comment, and then we're going to get to our main topic. Okay. Tom Morley says, great gelato in Florence. Tom, I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this until yesterday in doing some research, so it's not like I'm trying to be pedantic or put on airs, but did you guys know that gelato was invented in Florence? I didn't know that. I assumed it was Rome or something, but there you have it. It's the reason gelato is so good in Florence is that's where it's from. Lady Manx asks, what will Helen do while I ravage the pen paper stores? She will be right there with me. Helen loves that stuff as much as I do. And if they have any kind of stamps or anything, Imogen will adore it as well. So it should be super duper fun. Okay, so we were talking about Omas today. There were a few comments on one of my Omas videos. I'm not sure if it was the Ogiva or the Bologna, but I don't think it matters. But Arcajor, who comments quite a bit, very nice person, says, I'm very tempted to buy this pen. I dislike the lack of an ink window as well as the controversy that is merely a rebranded Chinese pen, not truly made in Italy. On the other hand, to hear you describe the nib as joyous makes me want to acquire it regardless of where it's manufactured. So, very, very interesting comment, and I responded by saying, I think I'll talk about it tonight on the live for a few moments before I get to the main topic, because it touches a lot of what this channel's about and a lot of things I'm interested in, and I just think it's worthy of a bit of discourse, and feel free to comment. I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and I'll look at the comments as well. So, this is the part that really sticks out to me. It's merely a rebranded Chinese pen, not truly made in Italy. So, for Omas, it is my understanding that they are made in Italy, that Frank Zhang was very much committed to keeping Omas made in Italy, and that it is a true succession of the original Omas. We know that Scribo got some of the machines, but they do have the copyrights or the patents, I guess, and they are making the pens a certain way in Italy. That's my understanding. Now I want to separate all this from Omas, okay? If it is indeed true that they're being made in China and then they're being sold as made in Italy, if somebody's saying that, they really should offer some kind of proof. There should be documentation of imports, receipts. You can track imports from around the world. You could see the movement of goods under certain company names. There should be documentation of that if they're going to make that kind of bold claim. I'm going to remain agnostic on that because I don't know. And there are many things I do not know. And sometimes I defer to the manufacturer until I know. Because my job is to review a pen and to look at the pen as it is in front of me. If I do get wind of a story, though, if I did know or I had access to know of any kind of controversy for any brand, I would jump on it. I would, because I do find that stuff interesting. But where I am now, I have no reason not to believe Frank Zhang and his marketing and everything else. But I think there's a bigger question here. And a lot of it goes into luxury and luxury goods of any type. And now I am leaving Omas. I am now speaking generally. I want to make this very, very clear. But any brand, many of them exaggerate. Many of them downright lie or mislead in their production methods and even what it means to be made in Italy. Have you heard about the big scandal with, it was Dior, and I'm trying to think who the other brand was, but I know it was Dior. Dior has a bag called the Book Tote, which is a really interesting tote bag that looks like it has sort of threaded designs like a tapestry. And to me, as someone who likes romance, I had this idea that someone in Italy or someone in France was doing sort of tapestry style decoration on this bag. I don't know what that's called. Maybe someone in the comments in the chat could let me know. If my wife were here, she would tell me. But I thought someone was doing this by hand, producing this bag, and it's about $3,600 for the larger version. They have very interesting designs. Some of them look mythological. Some of them look more dark academic. And the idea of the bag is that you put books in it, which is very romantic. And they have a fantastic ad campaign and videos right here on YouTube where interesting people, I know one of them is Rosamund Pike, who's a very interesting actress. It was in Saltburn, which I loved, which I put in one of my videos, Inspired, which a lot of people missed, but it's there. She goes, I believe, to maybe it's an English bookstore. It doesn't matter. Some of them are in French. Some of them are English. And then they pick books and they talk about them. They put them in their bags. Very cool. I think Natalie Portman might do one too. So anyway, the big scandal was that these bags are not made in a artisanal setting. It's not some 75-year-old Frenchman who's been doing this kind of embroidery or whatever it's called his entire life. They are done in very large factory sweatshop facilities in Tuscany, I believe. They're like farmed somewhere in Tuscany. They are manned mostly with, I'm not sure if it's undocumented or if it's just immigrant labor, but it's people who have entered Italy from China and they're now working in sweatshops and low-wage jobs and kind of being exploited by these big luxury firms that are claiming these bags are artisan made. And in fact, they cost about $56 to make, and they're being made in these big kind of factory warehouse facilities. So when you think of other luxury items, I'm a Rolex guy. I love my Rolex. Rolex has claimed that it takes a year to make a Rolex. It's complete nonsense. Maybe from the time that the iron ore is mined up until it's ended. But they give this idea that there's a master watchmaker sitting at a desk making a Rolex for a year, and it's just ridiculous. They're machine made. Probably parts are made in China like anything else. They're not that expensive relatively for them to be made by a master watchmaker. That would put it up over six figures. It would be $100,000, $200,000 watch if that were the case. So people create these mystifying things. Montblanc just came out with a new filling system for $149. It's a pen. You stick it in a certain bottle. It fills automatically. It's very cool. It's $5,100. That is completely exploitative, ridiculous. Like, don't even make it. You have to be so rich and frivolous to buy that. It's silly at that point. And it probably cost them around $300 to make it. So my point is, where do you draw the line as to whether something's made in Italy? Those Dior bags are made in Italy. They're just not made the way you imagine. Rolexes don't take a year to make. They make, I don't know how many units a year, but it's over 1 million for all their different models. It's impossible. They would have a gigantic factory, probably the size of where are they made? Somewhere in Switzerland, right? So yeah, it's just not happening. So there's all these sort of grandiose claims. Montblanc says something like it takes 34 steps to make one of their nibs. That's probably true. Nibs are mostly made by hand, but I bet the rest of the pen isn't. So there's a lot of fluff going into luxury. So what does all this mean? Well, to me, it means that I prefer heritage with an unbroken connection. I like when a story either is unbroken or someone picked up where it left off as best they could, like Haveco did that. And I think Frank Zhang tries with Omas too. And a lot of brands. Montblanc's been around since the beginning. That's unbroken. That's pretty great. Lamy too. Lamy, they show their machines. They say they're machine made, and they're really into how they make their pens. So there's nothing obfuscated there. Everything's above board, which is cool. I don't know who's operating the machines, but I think it's mostly robotics. So just, I think we think very narrow-minded sometimes, and by that I mean me. When I say we, I really mean me. You hear it made in Italy, and you think of, Nonno Giuseppe, and he's hammering away at a bag or something. And it's just not the case. It's 2024. Things are made in giant factories. You can't produce 100,000 units. You can't produce 1,000,000 units by hand. They're knitting machines, they're robotics. There's all sorts of high-tech manufacturing in the fountain pen world, in the handbag world, and everywhere. So if you get the product and it has a good, compelling story, and if it writes magnificently, and if you see multiple examples of it and it holds up to scrutiny, that means quite a lot. Even if it's something like a Lamy 2000, which you guys know I have a love-hate relationship, that pen is machined exquisitely. The tolerances, the materials, the way the metal goes into the macrolon. And I'm going to pick on them for a second. I believe they have one out now, which has, I think it's green macrolon. And it comes with a book, and I'd love to have the book. The book is a biography of Gerd Mueller, who designed the Lamy 2000. I really want to celebrate the designers. And I was going to buy it for the book. It's $500. And I was like, I'm not spending that. And I could probably get it for less, but I'm not going to use like influencer privilege or whatever. I'm just not. And not for that, at least. Let's be honest. But it's a shame because I don't know. You color, you put a little different dye, and then you mark it up more than 100%, 150%. Is that fair? I don't know. Maybe, but I am not going to do it personally. I choose not to. So I just think it was a really interesting comment. I really want to thank Arcajor for saying that, because it did get me thinking about this and relating about luxury. I'll make one last point about luxury. I love Cartier, and I think Cartier is probably overpriced in some ways and some ways not. I think their watches are a bargain. If you can get a Tank Louis with a gold case and it's, 12 grand, that's a great price for a mechanical watch that'll last the rest of your life. And if you're a man, you don't wear a lot of jewelry, you have a wedding band and a watch. That's about it that we can get away with and still be considered a gentleman. Necklaces aren't really a thing. Pinky rings are the worst. They're the worst. They're so déclassé. In my humble opinion, I'd never be caught dead with a pinky ring. But a watch and a wedding band, very nice. So their watches are very much a good deal. I have a Must XL automatic. I adore it. It has a face like a grandfather clock. It's magnificent. And it was, I think, 4 and change. I think maybe not even that much. No, I think it was 4 and change. I think that's a bargain for what that is. Or Cartier Santos. You get a Santos, I think, for like 5 or 6. What a bargain. I mean, go that route your whole life. But when you go to Cartier, they treat you very, very well. They're happy to see you. They have an abundant staff. They give you a coloring book for my daughter, which is very sweet. They give you some water. Sometimes I have champagne on hand, whatever it is. But they make it a very nice, luxurious experience. That's luxury. That makes you feel okay about a purchase. You're getting some attention. You can ask questions. You can try on everything in the store, see if you really like it. That is luxury. So that is, Kaylee says, this is a good comment I happen to see. In general, I agree with you, but you know that King Charles wears a pinky ring, right? I do, and it's completely déclassé. It's classless. So, I mean, that's his problem, not mine. And that's why it's great to be an American. We don't care about kings or royalty, my friend. But yeah, I mean, maybe a king can get away from it, but it has such horrible connotations, and it's just not. It gets in the way of everything. This ring is out of the way. You put one here, it's terrible. It's so, it makes my skin crawl. I can't take it, Kaylee. Luxury is not when you walk into Rolex and you ask to buy a Rolex and they say we don't have any and you have to wait 2 years. Or Louis Vuitton now, you can't get in the store. You have to wait in line. Don't wait in line for anything. If they don't treat you well, don't buy their products. Because there are plenty of things in the next tier that are just as good. You could buy a bag at the leather markets in Florence for $300-400 that are better than Ferragamo and Louis Vuitton. Better quality. So don't put up with that if you don't mind. So, Archboy says, not even kings can get away with pinky rings. I mean, not my world. Kaylee makes an allowance for it, but you know, Kaylee is my friend. So I will make an allowance for Kaylee too. Because Kaylee is my friend. And I am loyal to my friends. Okay, we need to get to the main topic, but I did want to say those things. Because they're very important. York is very, very amused tonight. York, always paying attention, always close. Look at this. He's amazed. He's absolutely astounded. Wow. Wow. I love York. Poor York. Did I tell you guys I went with Horatio for this? Someone suggests, I forget who, I'm so sorry, but some in the comments, like, you have York, why not Horatio? I knew him, Horatio. So, couldn't resist. Horatio's keeping Venice in line right now. I got water on my glasses. How did I do that? Do I look weird without my glasses? I didn't wear glasses till I was 40, but I'm sure making up for it now. Okay. The Curse of Cursive Writing, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you know this. You write in cursive. I write in cursive. I write almost exclusively in cursive. I write quite a bit at work. I have ledger books. In work, I write my notes in a ledger book. That way, my notes don't get lost. If I write in a book like this, and then I tear off the page, it will get lost. I'll never see it again. But if I write in a ledger book, it'll be there. And I write a few sentences on each phone call I make, each conversation, each loan. I don't want to get too specific about what I do, but just everything related to being a banker. I'll put phone numbers there, everything. So if I'm like, oh, what happened to that guy's phone number? I don't remember. When was that? Oh, it was about 2 weeks ago. Look through my book. There it is. At least it's somewhere in there. Always in cursive. I write little notes to people. They're in cursive. I use print for emphasis. I use print the same way someone who is typing would use italics. So if there's a word that I want to highlight, I'll put it in print while I write everything else in cursive. It's just how I express myself. And I feel good about that. I feel like that's my way of communicating is cursive. And to me, cursive is not lifting the pen from the paper, doing it as little as possible. If I lift it too much, I consider that calligraphy, which I am monstrously bad at. Cursive, I'm getting better. I have my moments. I did pretty good tonight. Did you notice? I'm having good arm days. My neck has been doing very well, and my numbness is at a minimum because I took so much prednisone the last couple of weeks. So I'm in a very, very good place with that, which I'm very pleased about. But so, cursive, lots of writing. Now, there are some issues, and I call this the Curse of Cursive. And I thought it'd be great to talk about it live so I can get some of your comments. And OBS uses print also kind of as expression, which is very good. But it's nice we can chat. It's not just a video where I'm talking to you about this. But sometimes you write in cursive, you draw outside attention to yourself. Now, I am not above drawing attention to myself. As you know, I have that mix of narcissism and self-loathing that you've all grown to recognize in me. But sometimes in a business setting, you just want to communicate. You don't necessarily want to draw attention to the fact that you are communicating. And several times I've had people absolutely amazed at how I write, almost like it's an artifact. Like they get this piece of paper with a cover sticky written in cursive with a direction or whatnot, and they're like, wow, look, this is amazing. How did you do this? And it's like, well, I just wrote it in cursive. And they haven't really seen it very often. Sometimes you get stories like my grandmother used to write like that, which, well, I write like someone's grandmother, which is okay. But it's certainly an expression, right? And it's certainly a signifier, and it's certainly an indicator of character. And I don't think there's anything wrong with printing, with your print writing, with your regular font. I've seen very expressive print style fonts, including architects. Architects can print like no one's business. They were taught it in school, in architect school, and they write as if they're in AutoCAD, as if they're the font that's used on blueprints, and it's magnificent. Mine is more the block print that I learned in parochial school in Philadelphia, which is just how people printed in those days. But my cursive also receives another part of this curse, not just outsized attention, but occasionally it gets ignored. I write something in cursive and people look at it and they think it's printed and some sort of computer font meant to entice them to look at something or do something, and they disregard it on that basis, which is interesting. Ellie J says, my mom is an architect and she writes better than a machine. There is some skill. The draftsman style of architect that was taught draftsmanship can print like no one's business. Robin Pennell can do that script. It's almost like Vogue. It's very stylized and very, very beautiful. So, Anna Paradox says, I print on envelopes in case my letters fall into the hands of people who didn't learn cursive. That's another point on the curse of cursive, and I'm glad Anna brought that up. We have a pen pal group for Cognoscenti and Illuminati members. We write letters back and forth quite a bit. I have had a few get lost. I started to get convinced that there are letter carriers out there that cannot read cursive, and they disregard those. So I often print my envelopes too, as the members here can attest to. Although sometimes I forget and then I just write them in cursive. But sometimes I do, and it's amazing. But I do think some of the letter carriers are losing that skill. So, Lady Banks, you hate sans serif? I don't. I mean, I love Futura. I use Futura on the channel quite a bit. And I love Vogue, which is sans serif too. So, sans serif. But I guess each their own, right? I don't like all of them. Sometimes I feel that you need to have a letter rooted with a foot. But other times I like that expansive line that just diminishes off forever, really. So, Kaylee says, or the sorters. Yeah, those two. Or maybe even the AI that's reading letters now to sort them. I'm not sure if it's people or what it is, but there you have it. So I think that's kind of a big thing. I do get a lot of comments when I send out Christmas cards and things where people are like, did you go to a calligrapher to address your envelopes? And I don't write that well, guys. I write pretty well. You've seen my writing. You know its quality or lack thereof. But you do get this commentary on it. It's sort of like when I used to wear ties to work, and I really don't wear ties. I am more apt to wear a tie on a weekend than I am at the office. It'd be very strange for me to wear a tie in the office. But back when I did, pre-pandemic, I wore bow ties quite a bit. I have a whole collection of bow ties. I love bow ties. And, but I didn't wear them all the time because then you become the bow tie guy. Like, oh, he's the bow tie guy. Like, people do like to put a label on you and you'll be known as that. I would also wear fedoras. I have quite the collection of fedoras. I have a bunch of vintage ones from the 30s and 40s, some Borsalinos, gorgeous Borsalinos, Dobbs. I have a bunch of Stetsons, modern ones. I have an incredible collection of Indiana Jones hats made by the guy who made it for the Crystal Skull movie. I was friends with him. He made some from the same run for me. I also have a Herbert Johnson that was made for Raiders. Anyway, I could nerd out about Indiana Jones all night. But I don't wear those often either because I like to wear them when I'm feeling it. I don't want to feel like I have to, and I don't want to be the hat guy. I'm just a guy who wears hats and bow ties occasionally. But I am the pen guy, and that I do here quite a bit. Elizabeth Pilgrim asks a fantastic digression. What is your favorite Christmas card ink? For me, it's my favorite I don't often use. So there's two favorites. My favorite would be Emerald de Chavour. That would be my favorite. But the one I use the most has been Moonrise. No, let me strike that from the record. Krishna's Moon View, which means it would probably be that or Tesla coil. Those are the ones I use. But I think Emerald de Chavour is perfect. I'm going to try to use that this year. So there's, of course, another big cursive curse is that there are often times when you run into people that cannot read it. And you've spent all this time to make your handwriting stylized, to make it interesting, to make it legible, perhaps. And then you produce something that's absolutely gorgeous. The slant is consistent. Your letter heights are uniform. Your ascenders are the same. And none of your descenders are crashing into the ascenders on the next line. So it's very harmonious and very beautiful. And then you hand it to someone or someone picks it up and says, "What is this?" As if they are now confronted with the demotic script on the Rosetta Stone. And they're looking for some way to translate this. Can I have this in Times New Roman, please? I need to decipher this ancient demotic text. Ancient demotic writing that you have produced here. What is it? It's cursive, my friend. Be not afeared. Be not afeared. It's cursive. It won't hurt you. It's just a little bow. We just tie a word up in a little bow and give it to you like a little present. This is for you. Don't be afraid. It's not much different. But you do run into that. Panic sets in as someone needs to read that which you wrote. Or they've been traumatized by cursive in the past. They've had to read their parents' hurried script, their doctors. Remember in the day when you had a prescription, you gave it to the pharmacist and they somehow were able to decode the hieroglyphs of your doctor? Those were the days. So I think that's always an issue with people trying to interpret it. But here's one of the big ones. You're gonna love this. Water's so good. You work on your cursive a lot. I do too. I'm about to make another cursive video for the holidays. It's 2 months from now. You'll see it then, but I'm about to film it. I love cursive. I love obsessing about cursive. I love making my writing stylized. Maybe not the best, neatest, prettiest, but interesting. At least I can give you interesting. And I do have this way of connecting words along a page that's really nice and really pretty that I learned from vintage letters from the 19th centuries. But this is something I call handwriting dysmorphia. And that is, handwriting dysmorphia is this idea that you don't know what your own handwriting looks like. That you have your own ideals that you're aspiring toward, your own script. I even have books on script. Here you go, right here. The Magic of Handwriting. It's just a book of script. Is that Da Vinci? I think it was. All this. Here you go. Look at that. Script. All this beautiful script. This is what you're aspiring towards. So what is handwriting dysmorphia? Handwriting dysmorphia is when you're comparing your own handwriting to these like wonderful examples that you see elsewhere, and you just assume that your handwriting is terrible. But it's not. It's actually quite nice. Some of this is a mess, but you're comparing your handwriting to some others. That's very interesting. I love interesting handwriting. Oh, guys. And you get handwriting dysmorphia. It just never measures up to what you see out there. All this other magnificent script. So even though you are producing very nice stuff, Oscar Wilde's handwriting, ladies and gentlemen. Very nice. Emily Dickinson, I think I shall be the belle of Amherst. So all this goes into your brain, and you're kind of struggling to produce something as magnificent as what you see in here, and you think your own handwriting's terrible when in fact it's really quite nice. That, my friends, is handwriting dysmorphia. You just can't accept your own handwriting as being good. So, very important concept, and a curse of cursive writing, for sure. I think for me, though, ultimately the lesson in cursive, and it's one of the points I'll be making in the new video that I'll be recording soon. Interesting is better than perfect. Perfect is a type of font. What we consider to be perfect handwriting is, in a way, regimented, because you are comparing it to an ideal. And that's nice, but is it you? Maybe. Maybe it's you. If it is you, I salute you. You have fantastic handwriting. But for many of us, it's not us. We are something else. We are a little harried. We are a little manic. Our handwriting at times resembles an EKG readout. Sometimes it can slope precipitously. Sometimes it's small and tight and well-formed and compacted. Certainly different at different occasions. I can certainly slow down and write very legibly when I need to. My notes might be freer. Size might change. I might make something larger for emphasis. I may connect my words as if they are vines that are creeping to find a purchase, to then blossom into flowers, into grapes, into wine. This is the process. I prefer interesting. I prefer the mad ones. Always prefer the mad ones. Keep company with people that interest you. So that's my story of cursive and the curse of cursive. Probably should have saved this title for the other video, but you know what? I never run out of titles. I never do. I think I'm going to, but I don't. I always think of something new. But I'm going to do a bunch of cursive videos soon. Christmas is a weird time. I'm learning as I stay on YouTube that there's a seasonality to what we do. Videos get a lot of attention about now. People are back. They're back in school. They're thinking more about pens. They're back at work. So things will do pretty good between mid-October and mid-December. Then December falls off until mid-January. So it's nice to have freer stuff then. More interesting. Kind of reach to the sides, do some handwriting things. Last year I did my cross writing video over the holidays. It was a little different, and I think it was fun and very well received. I'll do something along those lines again. And then mid-January it picks up again until around mid-May, and then it falls off for the whole summer. The summer's kind of quiet in journal/fountain pen land, with some exceptions. So I think I might start sort of programming around that and do some freer, looser things in between. But that's still a work in process, like most things on this channel. But it's still a delight to do what we do. So I enjoy it. Obs, the mighty obs, I prefer the mad ones. Mad to live, mad to love. I wish I could remember the whole quote. Like, what was it? Burn through life like Roman candles. Something along those lines. I've used that on the channel before. It's Kerouac, of course, if you guys are wondering, from On the Road, a novel that never ceases to move me. Allie J still occasionally uses crosswriting. Me too. Me too. It's a tool. You don't do it all the time, but it's a tool, and it's fun to mix things up. So I think it's really a good time. I think one of the things I want to talk about in the future is cursive symbols and cursive numbers. So if you are writing in cursive, how do you incorporate your numbers in a cursive manner? And your symbols too, your ampersand, your percentage, and whatnot. Another video I'm going to do is on editorial marks. I think you guys will enjoy that one too. Debbie Pedorsi, I always wondered why there was a line through a 7. Well, it depends on where you are, if there is one. But the reason is to differentiate it from a 1. A lot of people's 1s and 7s can run together. In England, there's a line through it. You see it much less here in the US. I do it sometimes. I'm very inconsistent. Archboy says, HJ, that schedule is the same with a bunch of YouTubers and other genres. I know it's true for Stridewise. My buddy Nick, who does boot reviews and outdoors clothes, he tells me that he does really well in the autumn, winter, and spring, and he has trouble getting the same level of interest during the summer. So I believe that. I do. Anna Paradox says, oh, I never learned cursive symbols and numbers. That sounds interesting, right? I think it'll be fun. I think that's what I'm doing in this next video, so I think you'll like it. I think you will enjoy it very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a fantastic video coming up on Thursday. It is on the most goth fountain pen you've ever seen. And it's right here next to me, and I could show it to you. Look, I could show it to you. I could. It's right there. Oh, it's so... I can't... it's fighting me. I want to show it. It's fighting me, and I can't. Wait until you see it Thursday. You won't believe your eyes. I guarantee you it'll blow you away. I'm so excited for it. And by the way, if you guys watch or listen to this, it's like a podcast. This is like I'm going with this as a podcast. Why not? Each week, and you made this far, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 20,000, and it's right there. Well, it's not right there, but it's there, and I want to get there. So if you've been on the fence, please do. I'd appreciate it very much. And if you want to support the channel even more, consider becoming a member. Love to have you behind the scenes too. Why not? Allie J says, this has been a really fun hour. I had a blast. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for your attention. And thanks for being here every week. I think I'm going to go now. I did have fun, but I feel it in my voice. And that's usually when I sign off, because in 2 days, I need to start getting ready to record again. So thank you all. Love you all. Stay well. And I promise we'll see each other again further up the road. So take care of yourselves.